Oh, thank you. Yeah. Yeah, I know it. You're right. Yeah, this started. All right, ladies, we get started. After it's strawberry. All right, ladies, started. All right. Hello. How are you guys doing tonight? I'm good. Good. Thank you, Lord. Let me ask again. How are you guys doing tonight? All right. Awesome. So you guys, we have a lot of new faces tonight. So if you're new and this is your first time, will you put your hand up real quick? All right. Look at that, you guys. And so we've got a little bit of time. Can you guys kind of just introduce yourself a little bit? Maybe how long you've been at Agape or what brought you here tonight besides a friend twisting your arm? Let's start over here. Joanna, why don't you kick us off?
I'm Joanna. We come regularly on Sundays at 10 o'clock. Everybody knows Bobby, my son. He's
our favorite worshiper.
Thank you. And we've been here about a year, but we've got to we've been in the area about a year and a half, but we've gone to other churches, so finally came to Agape. It was my first time, I think it was.
We love having you. All righty, over there, Cindy.
Yeah, I'm Cindy. We've been to Agape the last 2 Sundays. Yeah, and we went here for Sunday.
Which have been the best 2 Sundays. If I may say so myself.
My name is Barb, and we've been coming, I don't know, for a few months. We changed between the 10 o'clock and the 8:15 service.
Okay, wonderful. And what's your husband's name? I don't think I've met him. Mike, okay.
And he's at men's.
Well, that's gonna be easy to remember because my parents are Mike and Barb. So I will remember that one.
I'm Taylor. I've been going to Agape for a few months now. Is there another addition? Oh, I've lived in the county my entire life.
Here.
Yeah.
You're a unicorn.
Right.
I'm Dee. We've been coming for several months since like October. We've been permanent residents here for 9 years now. But we've had a townhouse in Frisco since '99. And then we built in 11. So we're here.
I like it. All right, Janice, I think you're the only other new person.
I'm Janice. I've been here since 2008 in Breckenridge, but Agape probably 2010.
Yeah, that's awesome. Wonderful. Well,
I go to Agape.
yeah, she goes to Agape. Exactly. Did I catch all the new people? Okay. Well, first of all, thank you for your grace in needing to cancel last week. The weather was just sketchy, the temperatures were dropping, and a few people were nervous, so we made the call to cancel, and I guess the roads ended up being a little bit dry, but you never know. And if anything had happened, I just would feel terrible. And my husband had literally narrowly escaped that 75 car accident. Literally, it was imploding around him as he weaved through it. And so when he told me that, I'm like, I think we need to reschedule. So thank you for doing that. And then I find out that this week is spring break, which is why a few of our ladies are missing tonight as well because of spring break. So for the ladies that are just joining us for the first time, what we've been doing these last few months are just really talking about what are the lies that we're believing about ourselves, and learning how to quiet our minds and our hearts and our spirits to sit with Jesus and take those lies to him so he can tell us the truth about who he made us to be and who we are. And so this is a way for us to draw into deeper relationship with him by talking about that stuff. So typically I would start our time with, anybody, hey, what are some ahas you're having? But so many of you are new that you might not have those yet. But for any of the ladies that have been with us for the last 3 or 4 months, is there anything that's popping out to you guys? Are there any aha moments you're having or just new encounters with God? Maybe not everyone all at once. You looking something up, Jenny, or are you?
I'm just trying to remember.
Okay. If you want to share, you want to move on.
Cheat sheet.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that I'm really noticing is that, as I've identified some of those lies, now I'm identifying where they're popping up, like in my life on a daily basis, and then being able in the moment to, put them to bed and move forward.
Okay.
And so that has been a mercy, to be sure, and has changed some of the behaviors,
Okay.
so that's been a good thing. It's kind of vague, but it's still true.
Yeah, no, vague ones are the sneaky ones. We got to take care of those ones, right? Yeah, awesome. Anybody else? No? All right. We are going to dive in. Jenny, would you like to just open us up in prayer? Thank you.
Lord, you are so good. We just thank you for the women who are here tonight. And for those who are away, that you would continue to unite us and show us the path to truth in our innermost being. We pray that your hand will just be on Sam as she shares and just help us to hear with new ears the truths that you're going to reveal to us tonight. Amen.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so tonight we're going to start with the enemy and his strategy and how he goes after us and what we believe about ourselves. When he wants to wreck our lives, he doesn't go after our behavior necessarily right at first. He goes and starts with our relationship with God. That's where it all stems from, right? He goes after the root, our relationship with God, and then maybe some of the behaviors we have out of that. He'll point to them and say, "Ooh, that's a bad one." Da, 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 da. But he really starts with our relationship with God. And if we go all the way back to the beginning of Genesis 3, what I recognized as I was looking at this pattern is there are 3 garden lies that kind of are at the root of some of our issues in the things we believe about ourselves, and then eventually our behaviors as well. And so think about back into the garden when it's the scene, right? We all know it. It's Eve and the serpent. And the serpent doesn't necessarily just come out to Eve and say, "Why don't you go do something bad?" Right? He asks questions and he gets her to doubt her relationship with Jesus or with God. Same. Anyway, he simply asks her a question, and it's this: did God really say? Right? So right then and there, he's introducing doubt into her. Because if he can get her to question who God is, then maybe he can get her. Sorry, I'm nervous. You guys are so many of you new ladies tonight, and I'm kind of nervous with some of you. So it's the room of grace, right? I'm just gonna take a breath.
We love you.
You're not usually here. You're not usually here. All you amazing women are never here, and now you're all here, and I'm nervous, and I'm sweating. You guys are beautiful. Thank you so much. A little fan. No, I am. What?
I think we're just having a hot flash.
Well, that's. I got the patch going, but you're right. The hot flashes are still coming. So, okay. Deep breaths. I just noticed I was beating, so, okay. So, If he can get her to question who God is, then maybe he can change what she believes about him. And when the beliefs change, everything else follows along with that. So here's what I want to unpack with you guys tonight. The lies we struggle with about ourselves actually started with lies about God. These garden lies, as I will call them, like I said, they are the roots. And these are the identity lies that we feel about ourselves. That's the fruit that's come out of that root. It's bad fruit, but it's fruit nonetheless. So the three lies at the core are God can't be trusted, you're not enough as you are, and you have to take control. And so I'm going to unpack these with you guys. Do you want me to say them again? I see some of you writing down. Okay, 3 core lies. God can't be trusted, you're not enough as you are, and you have to take control. So the first one, God can't be trusted. When the serpent asked Eve, did God really say? He's implying that God can't be trusted. And once that belief entered into Eve's mind and her heart, she ended up taking control in that moment. And we all still do this today. You know, God might disappoint us. I can't fully trust him, right? We have these thoughts playing in our minds. And when God doesn't feel trustworthy, that love that he gives us doesn't feel secure. So we start believing, like those of you who were here last month when Megan shared her story that love was transactional. That's kind of what happened, right? Love must be earned is now the thought that is playing through our mind. And this turns our relationship with Jesus to one that feels like striving. Can anybody relate to that one? Yeah. So we try harder, we do more, and we try to be better, hoping that we'll finally feel loved. But listen to this, you guys. This is 1 John 4:10. This is love, not that we loved God, but that he first loved us and sent his son as a sacrifice to take away our sins. That means love didn't start with you. It didn't start with your efforts. It didn't start with your obedience. And it didn't start with you getting it right. It started with him. Which means you are not trying to earn something from God. You are learning to receive what's already been given. The second garden lie there is you are not enough as you are. This one, I never saw it before, but when I did this and I searched this and I was looking at this verse, it like popped out to me. The serpent tells Eve, you're going to be like God if you eat this apple. But she was already made in God's image, right? So when the serpent says this to her, he's saying to her, you're not good enough as you are already. You need to be better. You need to have wisdom. And so that's when that lie took root in women and in men as well, that you're not good enough as you are. You need more. You're not enough in your current form is another way to look at it. And I know I feel this, and you're lying if you don't raise your hands, but raise your hands, you guys, if you've ever felt like I should be further along in my faith. Right? I need to be better. I'm not enough as I currently am. So we strive and we perform and we try to earn value. But here's the truth, and I love this verse as well. Before Jesus did anything, in Matthew 3:17, this is my beloved son in whom I am well pleased. So before Jesus even went on the cross, before he accomplished this great thing that he wanted to accomplish for God and bringing God glory, God already loved him before his accomplishments. So just think about that for a second, right? You guys, we don't have to do anything to earn that love. And I know it's been said, I know it's been preached upon, but literally God loved us before we have done anything at all. But unfortunately, we somehow think we're different in Jesus, right? In that fact. So, and then the third one, I'll just take my life into my own hands. I'll take control. The serpent never directly says to Eve, you know, you're on your own, or, you know, that kind of thing. But in that chapter, we see it says that the woman was convinced. Let's see which I'll give you the verse as well if you'd like to have that. my book here, Genesis chapter 3:6. The woman was convinced. She saw that the tree was beautiful and its fruit looked delicious, and she wanted the wisdom it would give her. So the enemy didn't tell her to do it, but his questions led her to take that. And in that moment, she no longer needed to rely on God. She took that fruit. God had not given it, and God had not invited her to take it. She took control herself in doing that. And so the truth is, you guys, we might not be reaching for fruit necessarily, but when we step into control, we're actually stepping outside of God's design for us. That is not his design for us ever, to want to take control. Which is why it feels so confusing and frustrating. It's not how he made us. We are never designed to carry that kind of weight, to have the wisdom that God has. So when we stop trusting him, or we start believing we're not enough, we reach for that control. And it can sound like it's kind of a spectrum here in between I'm not enough or I'm too much. Is anyone in between those two? Yeah. Again, if you
Both at the same time.
and sometimes both at the same time, exactly. And so I'm too much. It can look like I'm too emotional, which is me, high feeler, maybe too controlling or too needy, right? It can look like that. Or on the other end of the spectrum, under the I'm not enough, it can look like I'm not capable enough, I'm not strong enough, and I'm not worthy enough. And so we try to fix that tension ourselves. We control situations to feel safe. We protect ourselves so we don't get hurt. We manage how we're seen, or we hide parts of us that feel messy because we're trying to carry something we were never designed to carry in the first place. Who knows the story of the Samaritan woman at the well? All of us? Yeah. When I was writing this and thinking this through, has anyone watched The Chosen? Do you know the woman at the well scene that I'm talking about? That just kept playing over and over in my mind as I was fleshing this out. So she's coming to the well in the middle of the day, which means she's that woman, right? She can't be there with the rest of the women because she's got the scarlet letter A on her chest. So nobody wants to be around her, and she's avoiding everybody. Her story's complicated, right? She's been married 5 times, and the woman she's with right now is not her husband. And so in that culture, this woman would have carried shame, rejection, labels, judgment, right? She would have been known as that woman, right? But Jesus meets her there alone at the well, and he does something incredible. He starts a conversation with her, and I'm sure many of you know, but for some of you that don't know, a man talking to a Samaritan woman was not allowed. That was not cool. It was not okay. But he starts this conversation with her anyway. And he tells her everything about herself. You guys know the story, right? But he tells her everything about herself, not in a condemning way, but in a seeing way. Like, I see you for who you really are. And so imagine that moment. Everything she's tried to hide, everything she assumes disqualifies her, is suddenly fully known. And at this moment, where one would expect rejection or distance or disapproval, he stays and he keeps talking to her, and he reveals himself to her, and he offers himself to her as living water. In that moment, his message becomes to her and us today: you are fully known and fully chosen. So if you guys look at the stickers on your table, the little round one says that you're fully known and still chosen. So those are for you guys. Put those in your journals, put those up on your mirror, put them on your computer, put them on wherever you want that to remind you that you are fully known and still chosen by God. But then something even more unexpected happens. This woman who's been hiding from people runs back to town, and she becomes the one that says, come and see a man who told me everything I did. You guys know that scene where she's running down the hill. She's like, he's told me everything about myself. It's such a fun scene. And the people listen to her, right? So Jesus chooses this woman with this story with this past to be the one who introduces him to the entire community. Like, what does that say?
Acceptance.
Yeah,
She was rejected.
exactly. And God can use our stories no matter where we are in it. It doesn't matter if we're, still in a bad place and struggling or, not doing things right. God still wants to meet us there in that and use us. Not after our lives are cleaned up, not after we fixed our behaviors, but right in the middle of her story. Which means this, your mess is not what defines you or disqualifies you. It's often the very place where Jesus meets you and then uses you. I have experienced that, man. It is sweet. And the lie that says I am too much or not enough gets completely dismantled by Jesus, completely dismantled, because he is not overwhelmed by you. He's not surprised by you, and he surely is not pulling away from you. He is moving towards you. So our behaviors are not the problem, right? I hope you guys know that. They are the clues, because underneath every thought is an agreement. We talked about this last month. And underneath that agreement is usually something we've believed about God. And so last month, ladies who weren't here, we talked about this. It's not that we have an agreement or Sam, it's not that we have a thought problem. We have an agreement problem. And so again, ladies who weren't here last month, kind of how we described it is the thoughts, the birds are circling above your head. They're not going anywhere, but it's up to you whether or not you let them nest in your hair. Right? So again, it's not a thought problem. It's if we're going to agree with those thoughts or not. And so I didn't have that sticker last month, but those are also on your table if you'd like to take one of those and put that anywhere as well. So
Could you just stop for a moment, what do you mean by that, then go into a little bit.
go into that, yeah.
Um,
So, it's the thoughts that are coming at us every day, right? You're not good enough. You're always messing up. It's these thoughts, these lies that are constantly plaguing us and knocking at our door.
Negative thoughts?
Yes. Yeah. So it's not a problem with the thoughts that are coming at us. It's whether or not we take hold of them and agree with them. It's kind of, and it kind of, what I used last month, the verse to go with that is the 2 Corinthians 10:5 verse, is taking every thought captive and making it obedient to Christ. So if you think about that, again, the thoughts are going to still come every day. The enemy's not going to stop with the negative thoughts, but it's up to us whether or not we take those in and agree with them. Does that make a little bit more sense?
Right, yeah, it does, yeah.
Okay, thank you for asking. I appreciate that. Yeah, so just to kind of wrap it up, the goal isn't to fix our thoughts. The goal is to bring the agreement with the thought to Jesus. So anytime those thoughts come to you, it's that take the thoughts captive verse. Take that thought to Jesus and ask him what he thinks about that thought. And if he says, yeah, maybe this is something we want to work on, sure, we can talk about it, but it's not your identity and it's not a label I want you to carry, right? So it's working through that thought with Jesus on what he thinks about it and what the truth is, and let him give you that truth in exchange for that lie. Okay, so tonight, what we're talking about isn't theoretical. These agreements form in real places and in real relationships, and they often shape how we see God without us even realizing it. So tonight, I want you to hear a story of what it looks like when someone begins to recognize those agreements and brings them to Jesus. So with that, Sam, would you come up and join us? So ladies who are new tonight, what we often do is I only talk for a couple minutes because that's all you need from me. And I get to interview a woman and she gets to share her story. And so tonight, this is Sam Howell. So everybody give Sam a little applause for being willing to get up here and do this with us. It's hot up here. Thank you. So
It's that down, instant sweat.
it's a little scary up here, isn't it? Do you want to take off your thick wool jacket?
No, I'm just in a bra.
Oh, you won't be doing that.
I'm ready.
So, Sam, you've been at Agape now for what, 2 months? Three months, and you've been living in the area for 3 months.
Yeah, this was first Sunday, we found our church.
Yeah, and so I've had the opportunity and the honor to get to know her. And you guys, she's just got such a beautiful heart and a beautiful spirit. If you have a moment, just reach out to her and take her out for coffee. She's a young mom, and take her out for lunch and get to know her because she is a really cool young mom. So, all right, we're gonna dive in. You feeling good? Couple deep breaths?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Okay, so tonight we talked about the issue, that it isn't just our behavior, but it's what's underneath it. For you, this journey didn't start with your past. It started with something you were experiencing in the present right now. Can you share what you began to notice? Can you share what you began noticing in yourself as a mom?
Yes, you asked me to share this story 3 months ago. It wouldn't have happened. The Lord has really been working on me, and I'm going to be pretty vulnerable with some stuff that I've been dealing with in the past couple months around the thing that's the most sacred to me, which is motherhood. So before I moved here, I worked full time, not here. I worked full time. And when we moved here, I told my husband that I really want to be able to have these moments with our boys. I have a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old. And I just knew I could see them when they're 16, 18, 30, and regretting that if I didn't have that quality time and we were able to make that happen, that I would really regret that. And so when we moved here, I was like, I'm going all in. Let me just take care of the boys. Like, let me just be their mom and soak up all these precious memories. I'm gonna really need that in life. Oh gosh. And it was really hard. I started to get very overwhelmed, really overstimulated. Working felt easy compared to being a mom. It was the hardest, and is the hardest thing. And then the overstimulated, the irritability started to turn into something that felt a little bit like a dark, scary monster was living inside of me. And all of a sudden, my sweet little 3-year-old and 1-year-old, when they would look at me, ask me a question, they were no longer a sweet, cute little 3-year-old and 1-year-old. They were these terrorizing, evil things. And then even the rage started to overcome me. Rage that I'd never experienced before. Personally, I've never felt internal rage, and it wasn't outwardly expressed very often, but I knew I was like, that is off. I don't know what this is. I don't know what this pressure is building, and the voices that are coming in and the things that I'm saying in my mind, they aren't the fruit of the spirit. They're scary, and I'm scared of myself right now, and I'm scared that I'm not capable of being their mom. And so in the spirit of journaling, the Lord had told me to get a journal, and he told me to be very honest during that time. So I'm going to read you one of the things that I had written down. It's a lot of small moments that break me down each day to the point that I am not recognizing who I am anymore. I cover myself in a wave of guilt for not being patient, joyful, kind, loving, and the fruit of the spirit at all times for them. My nervous system gets so overwhelmed, I stop feeling grateful for my life, and I can't enjoy any of the moments with them. I'm not enjoying them. I anticipate the next rush of stress to hit and find myself very sad that I'm not better at managing my emotions, that I'm not a better mom. The boys are my greatest blessing, and I want to get a hang on this. And so that's when the rage prayer started. I get really mad. Why did you make me like this? Why am I feeling these pains? Why am I feeling this pressure? Why can't I'm praying for help to you, and it's silent. It's nothing. And so that's where I realized maybe we need to go deeper, and the Lord had showed me there is a root to this. And so
Yeah. Thank you. Take a breath. Grab a Kleenex, you got this.
Thank you.
Okay, so as you started paying attention to these reactions, what did that begin to reveal to you about what might be going on underneath?
Yes, so I started to ask myself, where is this coming from? If I've never felt this before, where have I maybe seen it? And I realized maybe I didn't have the most healthy family dynamic, and I realized I was also carrying a lot of unforgiveness towards both of my parents, and specifically towards my dad.
Yeah. Okay, so take us back to that family dynamic, when you were growing up, before things had shifted for you with your dad.
So I journaled out a timeline, and like, where did it all kind of get a little messy? I had a really great childhood. I had a really great, just fun time with my family. We all did martial arts together. We're all black belts. We competed. If we got in fights, we had to spar each other in the living room. It was fine. It was fun. We traveled. We had the boat and the RV, and it was a lot of fun. Up until the age where the economic crash had happened. My parents are both business owners and they worked together. And they lost everything. So we went from the boats and the dinners and everybody being happy to everything really shifted. And I didn't know what was going on, and I really wasn't in the loop much with that. But from my perspective, I went from being loved, seen, heard, understood, cared for, to disassociated from, feeling abandoned. There was anger, a lot of anger and rage in the house for little things. And that's when I started to see what I felt that little monster was building inside of me. I realized I did get a glimpse of those very outwardly expressed painful moments.
Yeah.
My mom had a lot of narcissistic tendencies start to be brought up, and was emotionally dysregulated. And my dad was avoidant until he blew up. And that's where I realized, okay, maybe that is what I saw, that maybe started a root in myself
Okay,
that I was holding unforgiveness for.
yeah, okay. When we were talking, you described that to me as a heartbreak moment for you. What did that feel like for you as a young girl? This was about 15 for you,
Mhm.
age 15-ish, right?
Yeah, I think of it as my first heartbreak. Especially with my dad. Your dad is your first male love. And we were close. And I can't imagine the stress that he was holding and the pain that he was holding. But I would never know because he never showed it. He's a Iowa farm boy who won state champion in wrestling. And I know now that his parents were physically abusive to him. And I know my mom comes from an addict family, and half her brothers are in prison. And I know that they changed generational lines from what they did differently, but I don't think they got rid of all the gunk. There was still some there.
Okay, so tonight we talked about these 3 garden lies. God can't be trusted. I'm not enough. And so I have to take control. When you look back at your story, where do you see those lies taking root?
So the first one, can't trust. When that heartbreak moment happened with my parents and my dad, and I started going to church and I got baptized on my own, one of the biggest struggles that I faced was realizing my heavenly father was not the same as my earthly father, and that they had differences, big differences. And I didn't, if I messed up, I wasn't going to get punished in the same ways. I wasn't gonna get screamed at, and I wasn't going to have emotional dysregulation, and there wasn't a break of trust there. The second one of not enough, when that's happened, or you've been in an environment where there has been dysregulation, the voices in your head start to tell you that you're not enough. I'm just not a good kid. I shouldn't be loved. They're avoiding me for a reason. I've probably messed up. And then the taking control, that led me to wanting to isolate, wanting to be self-reliant, and I tried to do things, and I still do often, by myself, because that's what it was left up to. And yeah.
Yeah, go right into it. The next question is, how did those beliefs begin to show up in your life as you got older?
So outside of, as soon as I left the house, I would tell my friends that I never wanted a marriage like my parents. The way that I would see them fight, and the way that I would see, and I never wanted to be with somebody like my dad, who didn't fully physically assault me, but emotionally, mentally, definitely was there. And I held so much resentment. My sister actually stopped talking to them for 9 years. And so I started to rebel. I started to act out. I started to seek attention because I couldn't get it from my family in the ways that I wanted. I wanted to find it in a different way.
Yeah.
I started to seek validation externally, and funny enough, every relationship I brought in was exactly similar to my father, and all of the core tendencies, which was just a lot of emotional and physical abuse cycles. When I was in school, if a teacher, or in college, as a college-ish, grownish, if there was a hint of I did something wrong, I would break down, because I just felt like I couldn't take being a disappointment. And I couldn't take it well, I couldn't hold it. I had fear of abandonment in relationships, which gave me anxious attachment styles. Which, if you've ever experienced an ancient, either with somebody or as yourself, it's constant anxiety of, what if I'm not good enough? What if I'm gonna get left? What if I'm not being enough? What if, and all of the what ifs play until you become and show up as a person that you're actually not. In conflict, I would shut down. The hint of somebody, tone, voice, shut down. I couldn't even feel. I started to go numb. And then I became avoidant. Just like as I saw, I was avoidant. I couldn't communicate. I couldn't go through confrontation. And I couldn't understand my emotions and why I was like that. It didn't make sense to me. I didn't understand there was a root. I didn't understand the path. I didn't understand. I just felt broken.
Yeah. And so where do you see some of the unforgiveness playing a role in what you've been carrying all these years?
So my parents, this is now 10 years, they got baptized about 2 years ago. And they are the most wonderful grandparents. They're kind, they're loving, they're supportive. They don't raise their voices. There's no emotional dysregulation. And I hated them for that, because I didn't get that, or I lost it. And so when I saw that, I was now 15 years old again, and I was mad. And I didn't know that. My nervous system just went right back to that moment. And I would tell myself, why are you acting like this? Like, your parents have been saved. They are doing all the things. They're even leading a couple small group for relationships. Like, people are trusting them. And so what is your problem? Why are you like this? And I carried so much shame and guilt, and I would go there for Christmas and Easter, and I would have to go sit in a corner and just talk myself up and tell myself, okay, you're gonna be normal today. You're going to be able to show up and you're gonna be able to accept them and you're gonna be able to love them. You're gonna just ask them a question about their day. They'll just go on for hours. Just one question. And as soon as I got in that room, it's like my body just shut down. And then I go back to my room. Why are you like this? Why are you so broken?
So before you brought Jesus into trying to work through some of the stuff, you tried to do it on your own. So kind of share with everybody what that looked like, you trying to do it yourself.
So I moved to Austin, Texas. If you've ever been there, it is a spiritual place, but not in the way that they bring Jesus in. I got wrapped up in the self-help and meditated out of you and all of the ways that you can heal yourself without actually bringing the Lord into it. I thought, well, let me give this a try. And so I tried the mindset work. I tried to journal it out. I tried to write the letters, and it helped. It made me feel relief in the moment. I did feel relief. It felt good for a second. But then the test was go see your family. And my nervous system went right back to 15 years old. So it never stuck.
Yeah. So at what moment in your life did you realize you needed to bring Jesus into this?
So it was about a year ago. I had gone to a women's retreat, and it was just kind of on my heart that the intent of this retreat was about my parents. And I was just gonna hold that. And as soon as I got there, I just got this overwhelming feeling that if my parents somehow passed away tomorrow, and this is how it was, that I would live the rest of my days with regret towards that, because I wanted it so bad, but I just didn't know it was wrong with me. And so I was just very, very transparent and open with the Lord during those days. It was 2 days. And there was a worship service that had gone on in the evening, and I had sat through it, and I had been praying over this, and as I closed my eyes, the Lord had given me this visual of walking into heaven and seeing my parents. Years had passed, and we both had passed, and it had just been my time, and now I'm entering in, and I had this just light, this wave of light with my parents, and we embraced each other and we hugged and we had this beautiful relationship, and it just felt free. It felt good. And I asked the Lord, can I have that now? And I don't want to wait until weeks pass. How can I have that now? And he said, okay. He took me through every moment that has hurt the most. One in particular, when my dad rushes in my room and he gets this close to my face and he's bright red, terrified, and he feels like he's about to just beat me. And he turns and punches a hole right through the wall. And he's screaming, and I don't even know what's happening, but he took me right into that moment. He helped me forgive him. And he took me in the corner after, and he said, and he showed me the weight and the heaviness that my dad was carrying, and the hurt that he was carrying, and that he was doing the best with what he understood. And he showed me how to hug him in that moment and forgive. And we moved on to the next scene and the next heartbreak. And we went through every single one. And it was painful until it wasn't. And now when I say that, I don't feel hurt when I'm telling it. I feel forgiveness, and I didn't think that would ever happen for me. And And so that's when it started, was the process where I was like, Lord, you can come into this with me and here's everything that we're working on.
Yeah.
I thought I was healed in that moment. We had a little bit more to go. It's like, job was done. Let's get out of here. But that wasn't it. That was the start. It was a very, very important start.
You guys, let's just take a breath here for Sam. That's a lot to share. It's heavy. Things started shifting a little bit for you. When did you feel like you heard God call you daughter? And when you heard that, what started to break or to heal inside of you when you heard that name, daughter?
So when I heard it was actually all of these feelings were coming out because I felt that little darkness in me as a mom, and I had gone to Melissa and shared with her, I'm really struggling. I felt very isolated in it, but felt like I needed to tell someone other than my husband. And we did a healing prayer together and we walked through a lot, and there was a lot of tissues that were used that day. And we leaned into the next part of the healing prayer, which was, what is he saying to you now? And the first word was daughter. And I had always felt there was this wall around my heart, and he had showed me that there's this wall that's not allowing him to get close. And I would pray in services and on my own, break it down. I didn't know how much it would hurt to break that down, but when we had gone through that, that's when the wall started to shatter. That I could actually be a daughter, that I could actually be loved, that I could actually receive love unconditionally. And I did make a note in here. That during all of this, I wrote down, I need the Lord's strength, grace, peace, joy, kindness, self-control every moment of the day. This season is showing me what trust and dependency look like daily, and I can have that with him. When I have no more to give, he is there. When I am overwhelmed, he is my peace. When I lose my patience, he calms my heart. When I feel lost in guilt, he shows me love. And that's what it feels like to be his daughter.
What Jesus showed you in those moments and in a time of healing prayer is just so different than what you had believed for so long. So like, you kind of answered a little bit of that, but like maybe dive into that a little bit more about what he showed you that was so different than what you were believing about yourself.
I had a belief that I wasn't enough as a mother, wasn't enough as a child. I believed that it was my fault I wasn't a good enough mother, my fault I wasn't a good enough child. I had a belief that God was not trustworthy. He did this to me. He made me like this. He put me in this dynamic. And I've asked for help and I didn't get it. It was my belief. And that love is earned. I have to work hard for it.
Yeah. So some things shifted for you in the last 3 weeks. With your parents. And with some conversations, so share that with everybody, kind of where it's at right now, what God has asked you to step into with them.
So about a month ago, I had this call that, Lord, I feel like I've forgiven them. Like, why can't I move on? I've done it with you. We've done it emotionally. I've done it through prayer. I've done it in my journal. I've done it everywhere. It feels like what? Why am I not moving on and moving forward? Why do I still feel this rage? Is it because of this? Is there something else? What am I not missing, or what am I missing? And I felt the tug that you've been doing this with me. You've been doing this by yourself. but you haven't done it with them. And it's time to bring them in. And that felt like I would rather just not do that. I'd rather absolutely not. There was not a lot of vulnerable moments with my family on my side where I showed them my true emotions, and most of the time I would just go numb to try as just a way to survive the moment. So vulnerability, communication, not our thing. I'd really worked on it, but I didn't think we had to together. And then I was like, okay, I'll do it, but later. And then it was Easter, and I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden my heart starts racing, and I was like, what is happening? Am I okay? Do we need to go lay down? And I hear it's time. And I know exactly what that means. I know exactly that it's time I have to call my mom and dad and let them know that I've forgiven them, and also let them know the weight I've been carrying.
Yeah.
And I think that working up to that moment had probably been one of the most difficult things. That felt like my Goliath. Making that phone call felt like just every inch of me just cringed. So I call my mom, and she answers, and I chit chat a little bit, because if I called straight to my dad, he'd be like, what? But to make it seem kind of normal, and called her and chit chatted, and then I said, can you bring dad over? And she said he's asleep, and then I hear the voice and go, wake him up. All right. I knew I would, if it wasn't then, and he probably knew if it was not in that moment when I was like, it was time. So she goes in there, and he's actually awake. And I said, can you put the phone on speaker? And I share all of the heavy weights that I've been carrying, but I pre-frame it. I say, I want this to be a progressive conversation, but here is some stuff that I've been holding on to, and here's why it's affecting me. And I've always wanted to just be great for my parents and just be the best that I could for them. So to tell them that I was struggling as a mom, I just didn't want them to see that. And I didn't want them to feel like it was their fault. I was so afraid of hurting their feelings. But I was more afraid that if I didn't get this out, I would still hold on to that darkness. And I knew that that outweighed what needed to be said.
Yeah.
And what I received on the other end, they listened to every word. And my dad, for the first time, said, I'm so sorry that you've been holding on to this. And I've never heard my dad apologize to me. And he said that he should have never been like that. He should have never acted that way. I should have never had to hold on to it. And that he's sorry that he didn't bring it up first. Yeah.
Wow. So not fully fixed.
Yep.
But it's starting.
Yeah.
The healing is starting. Yeah. So for anyone here tonight that's recognizing maybe pieces of their story, your story, or an agreement or a belief that they're holding on to, what would you say to these ladies tonight?
My dream.
Get out that guy's journal. So important.
Was that question 13?
It's actually.
I was about to answer
I
the wrong
skipped
question.
one,
Okay,
I
okay,
skipped
okay.
one, just because you kind of,
Okay.
was there, so it's number 14. So then the following page has your.
Okay. One of the things I had to realize is not to minimize my pain. I had been doing that for a long time, saying it wasn't worth bringing up. Sweep it under the rug, just sweep it and it'll go away. And I realized it will not go away.
Yeah.
if you're carrying any form of unforgiveness, it won't go away. It will come out in different ways. Um, get real with your feelings and take it to God. I think that I was so afraid to tell the Lord my actual feelings, my actual rage, actual anger. I didn't want him, he knows everything, but I didn't want him to know that I was so pissed off. And then one day I started to tell him, and I did it yellingly. And when I realized he can take that and he can hold that and he can create space for that. And in the mess of unforgiveness in the journey, this has been 10 years. I'm seeing the light at the tunnel now. But I remained hopeful and open in moments, not the whole time, but the moments that I was open and hopeful and saying, yes, I want this, please. That's when he would show up. It wasn't when I was half in, half out. It was when I was fully in and ready to go through the painful emotions that came with it and face them with him. And he carried me through all of that. And you don't have to go through it alone, and you're not broken. And my last journal entry, let's hear it, was realizing how all of this has served me, because it wasn't for nothing. The Lord uses everything for good. The anger that I saw in my dad has given me awareness towards the kindness, compassion, and empathy that I can have for my own children. If I didn't have that awareness, if I never experienced that, maybe I wouldn't be so sensitive to how I react and am towards my children or other relationships. My dad was very tough, both my parents were, but now that's allowed me to be vulnerable and soft and feminine. I'm still tough when needed to be. The passive aggression, it's taught me communication. I've worked a lot on communication. Being direct, not being the victim, and being responsible to take the criticism. And being iced out, thinking before I speak, and most importantly is repair. Repairing can fix anything, even if I mess up, even if I wasn't the best mom, the best wife, the best friend that I could be in a moment. Repair can, I wouldn't say fix everything, but it can fix most things if you're vulnerable and you're willing to communicate through it. So that's what I learned, and that's why it served me.
Awesome. Well, God's in the redemption business, isn't he? Okay, so this question wasn't on our sheet, but it's been about 3 weeks since you had the conversation with your parents. How are you feeling as far as your heart, your healing process? Like what has changed in you since that moment that you had that conversation with your parents for you?
For me, the first reflection is in motherhood. And so that little evil monster, I feel like I don't know her. I haven't seen her in a while. And when I'm overstimulated, I'm overwhelmed. There is so much grace that I feel. And there's just ease, there's patience. The fruit of the Spirit, I feel like, is actually, even if I'm not perfect all the time, I do feel like I am holding on to that a lot more, which just that alone, to be able to enjoy my children is all I wanted. And I really had to jump through some hoops to get it. But I feel like I get to have that.
That is so beautiful. And thank you so much for sharing your story with us tonight, ladies.
My therapy.
Wonderful. Oh, thank you so much. Okay, you can stay up here with me if you'd like to. So now we're gonna just gather at our tables, and I've got a couple questions on the tables. You guys will see those there, and I'm gonna give you guys about 15 to 20 minutes to just kind of talk with each other, and I'll read the questions out loud, but again, they're right there in front of you. Here's the question. What is one area in your life right now where you may be living in a garden lie instead of trusting God? And what might it look like to invite Jesus into that place this week? And there's a couple thoughts there. I'm struggling to trust Jesus. Feel like I'm not enough as I am. And I feel like I need to control certain areas of my life. So you guys, we got about 15-20 minutes to just chat with each other and get to know each other and be vulnerable with each other like Sam has been today. So.
I put it all out there. I want to see some tears.
Just like Kleenex that doesn't even have to cut it. All right, Sandy, come get this box. Thank you.
You're always good.
Please fill up.
When I tell Leo hearing her story, I was curious, let's start with that. Is, that's your,